I was about 4 years old when we discovered the Grand Old Opry, and the family joke used to be...
The legendary singer, Jeannie Seely, is ready to spill the beans. She's kept her cool for so long and endured years of intimidation from the Grand Opry. While the audience cheered her on stage, she was mistreated backstage. Days slowly turned to decades, and the trauma worsened. Now, she's not keeping the secrets anymore. Seely had no plans of speaking up, but someone found her letters. She could no longer hide the events that happened in room 16B. What secrets did she have, and what happened in that room? There's so much truth to uncover. Stay tuned. The Dark Side of Opry. For decades, the world only saw the great performances, the standing ovation, and the highlight of Jeannie Seely. They didn't know the full story. They could never imagine the real story behind the glamour of the country singer. Her experience was not pleasant. Jeannie did not want to step on the toes of the top elite, so she kept silent. She kept secrets that would never be heard. She was ready to take them to her grave. Although the events nearly broke her, she vowed not to share them with anyone. She had carried this weight for so many years. What's a little more? Jeannie thought. A power outage in 1971 changed things in her life forever. It wasn't the outrage that scared Jeannie. It was the incident that happened during the course. It frightened Jeannie and made her second-guess her decisions. She never performed the same way after that night. She always felt like someone was watching her a little closely. While the crowds packed at the Opry swung heads in excitement, Jeannie trembled beneath the bright smile. She was afraid of doing too much. The event from the night in room 16B haunted her every time she went on stage. She never wanted a repeat of that. Jeannie Seely was one of the very best. She lit up the Grand Opry whenever she stepped on stage. She gave every song such depth and emotion. Her presence was unlike that of people who had performed before. She carried a unique flair, her smile was contagious, and her voice was soothing to listeners' ears. While fans were entertained by her music and admired her personality, she was a threat to the top bosses at the Opry. They never liked Jeannie's daring spirit. They didn't want her to have opinions or push back on the policies they made. They wanted her to portray a submissive country sweetheart. They hated that she always had to challenge them and wanted to express herself as an artist. One of those moments was when she got on the Opry stage in her miniskirt. It got the high-ups angry. They never entertained people who deviated from the norm, and Jeannie was the first artist to wear a miniskirt on stage. They did not want her on their stage with the outfit. They did not want her to lead the other female artists in a revolt or introduce a foreign fashion. Before then, female singers wore dresses. Defying Opry manager was sent to convey a message to Jeannie before her performance. What they never expected was her response. She said, "This is what America is wearing, and I'll make you a deal. I won't wear a miniskirt in the back door if you don't let anybody wear one in the front door." It wasn't easy to scare Jeannie. However, most of the Opry women seemed to accept the situation. They never thought of quitting. It wasn't that they were choosing popularity for dignity. They were just afraid to speak the truth. They stayed back because it was a step closer to their dreams of entertaining crowds, but a moment came when Seely changed the game. She broke Opry's gingham curtains. That wasn't her intention. She never planned to set a trend. She just loved to dress and be pretty while she sang her heart out. The Opry never understood this. There were always conflicts between Jeannie and the bosses. Although she got the award and money, she never got the respect she deserved. The leaders of the Opry didn't think she was fit to have the spotlight. She had a sharp tongue that was ready to spill truth, and she sang like she meant every word. That type of confidence was a threat to people who controlled the show. They warned her never to talk back, dance, or dress the way she liked. They wanted Jeannie to always agree with the nightly lineups, even when they didn't favor her. She was expected always to say yes and never dispute. Despite the rules they set, Jeannie wasn't a pushover. She was way too talented to be taken out of the way. Her mere absence made the weekly sessions dull and uninteresting. However, they couldn't trust Jeannie. She wasn't the type of lady to bend to their will, and they were aware of this. It's why they resented her and made things harder. They paired her with actors who were unwilling to work with her and assigned her to unfavorable time slots. After each performance, she could hear whispers behind her as she walked down the hallway backstage. They weren't words of praise for the performances. They were lies and spiteful words about Jeannie. The worst part? They whispered loud enough for her to hear. The singer had been through more difficult challenges, so she kept her focus. Night after night, she showed up, gave her best on the stage, and strived to be the best version of herself until her name was added to the rotation of major singers at the Opry. People didn't see what it cost her to achieve that height. They all saw the smiles, but they couldn't see that she was facing a battle bigger than her. It was during this time that she received a message from room 16B. It was the night of the power outage. An event Seely will forever dread happened. Before then, she had never heard of that room number. Jeannie had walked the halls backstage more times than she could remember. What room has the number 16B? She was puzzled, but followed the direction on the piece of paper handed to her by a stagehand. For a second, she thought of running away or backing out, but then she remembered her conversation with the man who delivered the message. He told Jeannie she was summoned. It wasn't an invitation, so she couldn't refuse it. As she walked closer to the room, her anxiety increased. She was uncertain of what was behind the door. Shakily, Jeannie grabbed the doorknob and walked in. The dark room had one lamp and a chair. A man, hidden under the cover of the darkness, was invisible to Jeannie. She couldn't tell who he was. All she heard was a voice. She knew that voice. It was familiar. It was one of the quiet bosses who ran the events in the Opry. He asked her a question that she never repeated to anyone. Her response didn't matter. He wasn't seeking her opinions. Jeannie was in that room to receive a stern warning. After what seemed like eternity, Jeannie closed the door behind her. She could not believe what had transpired in just 11 minutes. She was never the type to take threats seriously, but this got to her. She walked out of the arena and got into her car. After a few minutes of staring blankly into space, she took off her outfit and got out of the car. A janitor who watched Jeannie from a distance saw her burning the clothes. He reported that she stared as the outfit caught fire. It seemed like she was letting go of someone. Days after that, things changed. Her name was taken off the list of headliners and replaced with someone who couldn't remember his lines. False news spread about Jeannie, and it became a battle to keep her head up. Her only comfort was journaling. She wrote about her experience in an attempt to trace patterns. It wasn't just Jeannie who faced unfair treatment. There were people before her. She never knew a researcher would find her letters. She encouraged Jeannie to speak up, as her words would determine the freedom of several others. It wasn't an easy task for her, but she took a step. Sometimes she tried to give hints to young artists who asked about the Opry. She once made statements that carried an underlying warning, but many new singers didn't get the message. She always watched as their faces lit up with the same excitement she had at the thought of joining the institution. Now, she knew better. She always said, "It is not a normal concert venue, it's not a normal show." Despite the sad events that happened behind the stage, she let her light shine so bright. She was one of the Opry's most applauded performers. She held the Grand Old Opry and was one of the first females to draw such a crowd in the 90s. Have you ever heard a voice so honest it made your heart pause for a moment? That's what Seely does every time she sings. Her voice isn't just harmonious. It tells a story. She carried a spark that shines through every heartbreak, every triumph, and every word she ever wrote or sang. Many recognize her as the woman who brought elegance and emotion to the Grand Ole Opry stage. However, there's a lot more behind that bright smile and those glittering stage dresses. How it all started. Jeannie Seely was born on a chilly July in 1940 in the small town of Titusville, Pennsylvania. Her parents called her Marilyn Jean Seely. Little did they know that the world would know Jeannie. Her parents, Leo and Irene Seely, raised her in a humble background. They were hard workers who believed in doing things the right way. Leo worked at the local Warner's Dairy, while Irene kept the home warm and tidy. Together, they raised Jeannie and her older brother Bob with strong values and a lot of love. She wasn't raised in a wealthy home. Life was simple in Titusville. She helped around the house, did her chores, and learned how to be kind, thoughtful, and strong. Her older brother Bob was her best friend growing up. The two of them would explore the nearby woods and play games together. That bond remained strong and unbreakable. As Seely grew older, the little town of Titusville felt a bit too small for her dreams. Although farms surrounded her, she had always been drawn to tall buildings. She was the kid with bright ideas. While other kids talked about working in local shops or nearby factories after school, Jeannie thought about life beyond the hills of Pennsylvania. She didn't want to run away from home. She just knew deep down that she was meant for something different. Jeannie was bright and curious. She loved animals, books, and especially music. As a little girl, music seemed to follow her everywhere. It was in the hum of the wind, the sound of birds outside her window, and especially in the country, tunes her family played on the radio. Jeannie's mother loved singing and often filled the kitchen with melodies as she cooked. Those songs became the soundtrack to Jeannie's early years. She joined the church choir before she was 10 and quickly stood out for her clear voice. At family gatherings or school events, Jeannie would sing. And even though she was shy, she always had a way of touching people when she opened her mouth to sing. In high school, Jeannie participated in plays, music performances, and any other activity that would get her on stage. She wasn't chasing fame, she just loved to sing. Her classmates and teachers often told her that she had a special gift. However, at the time, she didn't imagine she would one day perform on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. Maybe I could sing for fun, on the radio if I get lucky, she thought. Before music ever paid the bills, Jeannie worked multiple jobs. After school, she worked at a bank and later at an insurance company. Her early jobs helped shape her work ethic. It was not glamorous, but it taught her the value of being responsible and showing up, even on the hard days. She never complained. If anything, she found joy in doing small things well. The lifestyle helped her survive in the fast-paced and uncertain world of the music business when she entered the spotlight. Although she was content with her job, music was her passion. She started writing songs in her free time, pouring her feelings into words and melodies. It was her way of dealing with life. Music helped her get through difficult moments. Outside of work, Seely kept writing. She jotted down lines on scraps of paper, backs of receipts, or whatever she could find. She didn't always know if they were song lyrics or poems. She just knew they came from her heart. Some of those early notes later evolved into full songs, which were heard by people all around the country. Music remained her safe space. Whether she was singing quietly in her room or listening to the radio on her lunch break, it made her feel alive. She studied the voices of classic singers, but she never attempted to imitate them exactly. She believed in her voice. She knew her soft and honest tone was enough. She didn't want to pretend or be someone she wasn't. Jeannie enjoyed performing in small-town shows, county fairs, church gatherings, and community talent nights. They gave her chances to express her unique voice. The lights were not bright, and the crowds were not huge, but she always gave her best. These moments taught her how to face an audience and connect with people. She learned that the message behind a song mattered more than a perfect note. By her early 20s, Jeannie knew she had to follow her heart. The small-town girl with the big voice decided to take a risk. She traveled to the place where dreams come true. She believed life would change in Nashville. She packed her things, held tight to her hopes, and made her way to the city where country music lived. What she didn't know then was that this bold step would lead her into a world of bright lights, deep heartaches, and unforgettable songs. During these years, Jeannie often leaned on the kindness of friends and mentors. Some encouraged her to keep going, even when it felt like no one was watching. One local musician helped her record a few demo songs. Another lent her a guitar when she could not afford her own. These simple acts of support gave her the push she needed to dream bigger. The turning point. When Jeannie arrived in Nashville, she didn't have a golden ticket. No record labels were waiting for her, and no fans were cheering her name. She was simply a dream and a voice that refused to stay silent. She started small. She worked during the day to pay the bills and sang wherever she could at night. Jeannie showed up at locations that would hand her a microphone, such as coffee shops, local clubs, and radio shows. She was thirsty for a music break. She sent her songs to publishers, hoping someone would see the heart behind her lyrics. And finally, someone did. Her big break came not through her singing voice, but through her pen. She wrote, "Anyone who knows what love is will understand." It was recorded by R&B singer Irma Thomas in the early 60s. That single opened doors for Jeannie as a songwriter and showed Nashville that her talents were worth noticing. Her voice didn't stay behind for long. In 1966, she released her song "Don't Touch Me," and everything changed. That song shot up the country charts and even crossed over into the pop world. Everywhere, people spoke about the woman with an emotional and honest voice. The song earned her a Grammy Award and made her the first woman in country music to win the Best Female Country Vocal Performance. It was a huge deal for country folks. Seely was celebrated for her dedication. She received the Joe Talbot Award from the Country Music Association and has been recognized for her commitment to women in the music industry. From that moment, Jeannie's career took off. She appeared on major shows and interviews. Her music often focused on heartbreak, love, and the quiet struggles of life. She didn't sing to impress. She sang to tell the truth. That's what made her different. Her songs connected with people, especially women, who saw their own lives in her words. She continued to release hit after hit, including "Can I Sleep in Your Arms" and "Lucky Ladies." On September 16, 1967, Jeannie joined the Grand Old Opry. It was one of those moments when she felt Jeannie was fulfilling her wish. At a young age, she fantasized about standing on the Opry stage.
On that radio dial, I got upset because I thought every time I turned that button and put it at that.
She hoped that the world would also watch and listen to her sing, just as they did with other country artists. Her invitation to join the prestigious music house was a surprise that brought an even greater flood of happy tears. She had dreamt of standing on that stage for the longest time, and now it was no longer a dream. It was her life and reality. She was the first native from Pennsylvania to grace the Opry, and she held this honor with high esteem. "This is the best night of my life. This is not a club that you can just join. This is a very special family that you have to be invited into, and when they ask you to become a member, it means they know that you get it. You're doing something great, but you also get what came before." She couldn't contain her joy as she stared at the cheering Opry crowd. She knew she was born to sing in the Opry, but she never expected the induction. The few moments she wept didn't capture the full extent of the emotions she felt. Seely now had a place that she could go to, a stage she could sing on, and a circle she could be part of.
It was just an amazing experience for me, and I gotta tell this because it's true.
She believed she had found something that could never be taken away from her. Jeannie never knew the Opry would be far from the home and family she had dreamt of. She never thought her happiness could fade like the distant memories of her hit records and sold-out shows. Nothing prepared her for the ordeal she faced as a member of the institution. Suddenly, the life she had anticipated since childhood no longer felt pleasurable. Her reverence for the Opry and its decades of stars slowly faded. Despite the industry's ups and downs, Jeannie remained steady. She was never chasing trends or fame. She simply stayed true to her identity. She saw herself as the girl from Titusville who just wanted to sing. She gave her best on several nights and stages. She toured across the country, performed on television, and stood beside the biggest names in country music. She rose to become one of the most influential female country singers. She excelled as a songwriter, duet partner, and solo artist. Jeannie loved music, and that passion led her to perform over 5,400 times on stage. She lived for the tours, duets, and endless performances. The stage was her favorite place. She didn't see herself as just a singer. Every time she performed in front of a crowd, she was reminded of the little girl whose dreams came true. She not only impacted generations of country singers, but was also a legend to Americana and bluegrass performers. Other singers, including Lori Morgan, Barbara Mandrell, and Carly Pearce, inspired Jeannie. Her story isn't just about music. It's about a girl from a remote town. It's about love, loss, and redemption. Jeannie stayed true in an industry that often kept high standards and stereotypes. From a simple country life, she became one of country music's most loved voices. She never let her challenges steal the spotlight. On stage, she sang her heart out and made sure the crowd felt her message. She brought balance to fashion and music and never let people put her down. She broke old traditions and showed that women in the country music industry could be both stylish and serious. In her 80s, she continues to perform and record music, demonstrating that passion endures with age. Jeannie's journey is a reminder that success doesn't always come quickly, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. She didn't just break into country music, she became part of its history. Despite her extraordinary career, Jeannie Seely found time to build a family and love truly. The hidden pain and joy. Like her music journey, her love life had its share of heartbeats and heartbreaks. Behind every song she sang about love were pieces of her story, hidden in the lines. Her first trial at finding love didn't end as expected. It started as a fairy tale romance, but ended tragically. Jeannie's first marriage was to Hank Cochran. He was a well-known songwriter in Nashville, and their paths crossed not long after Jeannie arrived in the city. Hank had already written songs for stars like Patsy Cline and had a reputation in the music industry. The couple shared a deep love for songwriting, and their passion for music strengthened their bond. They married after a few months. At first, it seemed like a perfect match. They collaborated on music, supported each other's careers, and were frequently seen at events as a creative power couple. Hank helped Jeannie grow her career by introducing her to people in the industry and encouraging her talent. Unfortunately, behind the scenes, things weren't always smooth. No matter how they tried to hide it, their relationship showed visible cracks. The pressure of two strong careers, personal differences, and the emotional weight of the music world took its toll. Jeannie, being a strong and independent woman, struggled with the traditional roles expected of a wife during that time. She didn't want to walk in someone's shadow. She wanted to shine in her own right, and she did. Jeannie and Hank agreed it was best to part ways. The divorce was hard on her, but it didn't break her. Instead, she poured her feelings into her music, letting her songs carry the pain and the healing. Some say her best work came after the heartbreak, when her voice had even more truth. After Hank, Jeannie focused on her career and herself. She continued releasing songs that connected with listeners. For many years, she stayed single and built her life on her terms. She became known not just as a singer, but as a woman who didn't let heartbreak hold her back. Jeannie found love again. She married Gene Ward, a Nashville attorney. This time, it wasn't about being a musical duo or sharing the stage. It was about companionship and understanding. Their relationship was more private, away from the spotlight, and it gave Jeannie the peace she had long desired. Gene supported her work, stood by her side at public events, and let Jeannie be herself. In the tough moments at the Opry, Gene was her support. He was a shoulder to lean on. He held her hands through the fierce intimidations and urged her to never give in to the pressure or lose her identity. Unfortunately, his demise felt like the end of the world to Jeannie. She could barely bear the pain of losing someone precious. A broken Jeannie expressed her pain at his funeral. My heart is broken now, but I am so grateful for the 15 years I had with Gene. I knew he was a good man when I married him, but as I experienced life with him, I learned he was a really great man. My love and respect for him grew daily, and it continues as I learn how much he touched the lives of so many people, some who only knew him by the example he set. The trauma she faced from his demise and the Opry incident led Jeannie to several health centers. Rehab is pretty tough, but each day is looking brighter, and last night I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and it was neon, so I knew it was mine. The singer still struggles to face life, but she's stronger than the battles she faces. Seely does not have children of her own, but she has often spoken about the young artists she's mentored as her extended family. Through the highs and lows of love, Jeannie remained true to herself. She never pretended things were perfect, and she didn't hide her heartaches. Instead, she shared them through music and stories, helping others feel less alone. Her love story wasn't smooth, but it was real. She said it's the most beautiful love story there is, the kind that teaches, endures, and keeps singing. She's been a guiding light to many in the country music world, offering advice, encouragement, and friendship. Although the Opry has been in operation for over 100 years and has hosted numerous artists within its walls, it will always remember Jeannie Seely. She never stops sharing her stories and experiences with artists who love and want to hold the same dreams she once had as a little girl. To fans, she will always be Miss Country Soul, the singer who defined a genre and showcased unique talents in singing and songwriting. Though it's been years, her impact remains. She holds the title of the reigning queen of old-school country music. She had the most extensive performance history on the Opry and was the first woman to host segments on the Opry alone. Before her, no other female dared to propose it. Jeannie stood her ground and demanded what she deserved. They couldn't destroy the little girl who fell in love with singing country music at the age of 4. She remains a reference point for multiple generations of artists, and she will continue to be an inspiration to future singers. What do you think about Jeannie Seely's ugly experiences and how she handled them? Do you think she will take legal action against the Opry? Do you think she will ever find love again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.